He's getting older.
Bonerama! Oh, hit the full button!
But not wiser.
Hey, welcome to Con Air!
This is The Lefty Show.
Welcome, one and all, to The Lefty Show. I am your host, Lefty. Glad to be here with all of you today, the 12th of August, Tuesday, in the year of our Spaghetti Monster 2014. Welcome, one, welcome all to The Lefty Show, episode number 73, powering through all the great episodes of The Lefty Show. Thank you all for joining me. I hope to put on a good show for you today. Hello, everybody. From the front page of Podbean, thank you to Podbean. They've provided some great hosting services for The Lefty Show, and I thank them very much for that. We are featured as the site of the week. Podbean.com. You go to the Podbean homepage, you will find The Lefty Show there, and I thank Podbean for the opportunity to grow the audience, and I thank everybody for watching on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can go to find The Lefty Show and its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show outside of the Podbean homepage, podbean.com, once again. If you want to help the show grow, great way to do that is to share with your friends, family, and coworkers. You can find us on your favorite Android podcasting app of choice or on the iTunes Store. Wherever you find your podcasts, just search The Lefty Show. You're sure to find us there. Be sure to subscribe. Download all the episodes. Listen to them. They're a great time, I promise. Share them with your friends and say, hey, you should check out this podcast and download and subscribe too. Thank you all for doing that. I thank you, everybody, for following me on Twitter at Lefty643. Stay up to date on all the latest and greatest Lefty Show news. And I thank you for donating. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions is where you can do that. It's been a crazy day. Yesterday, we learned that Robin Williams, at the age of 63, apparently took his own life in his California home. Again, he was 63 years old and had battled depression for much of his life, and had actually earlier this year checked into a rehab facility. He had some battles with alcohol and substance abuse, and had one or two relapses throughout his life. And then again earlier this year, he checked into a rehab facility saying, I need to work on my sobriety, fine tune, I believe was the phrase. And now we find that he had taken his own life in his California home. Robin Williams, 63 years old, dead, apparent asphyxia, again, self-caused asphyxia. And it's weird because you see a lot of people reacting to the death of Robin Williams as though, I don't mean to, again, you have to tread carefully here, because I don't mean to say that you shouldn't care about Robin Williams or that you're silly for feeling something at the death of Robin Williams. That's not what I mean. I just find it interesting that people who never met Robin Williams, never spoke to him, never had any kind of relationship with him other than the one-way relationship of a fan, being a fan of an entertainer, are emotionally impacted, so emotionally impacted by Robin Williams passing. And again, to find it interesting is to not say that it's bad. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is, if you take a break from feeling sorrow at the loss of Robin Williams, provided many great movies for many people that are grown-ups now during their childhood. I know I loved Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin Williams. Pretty much all of Robin Williams' movies, his comedy specials were good. He would hit. You'd miss sometimes, but he would hit. And his comedy stylings, he was a man who went off. Just a big, hairy dude who was on stage putting on a show, belting it out for all of you, sweating, and you lose like 5 or 10 pounds during a performance because he would just sweat his ass off. And I always appreciated him for it. But if you take a break from that, I encourage you to think. Just take a moment and think about how, I'm going to say cool, for lack of a better term or a better phrase. I'm going to say, think about how cool it is that you can feel an emotional attachment to somebody whom you've never met, somebody with whom you've never spoken, never had any kind of relationship, but your consciousness, your thought process, your ability to think and reason has allowed you to be tied to Robin Williams. And you never met him, you never talked to him, you never spoke to him, you saw him, but you've probably never seen him in 3 dimensions. You've seen 2-dimensional representations of him, but you've never actually, many of you probably have never actually seen or met the man. But still, despite that, you have a relationship that, and your emotions are negatively affected or impacted at least when you learn of his passing. And again, it's not bad. It's not something you should be ashamed of. It's not something that you should feel sad about. It's not something that you should feel shame about. You just think about how, again, cool and powerful your brain is. You saw Robin Williams movies as a child, and your consciousness formed without any input, without any overt input from Robin Williams, the actual person. Your brain formed this relationship that seemingly ended when he died. My girlfriend talked about it when she came home from work. She said, "Did you hear?" I said, "Yeah, I'd heard about it." She said, "Oh man, I wish I would have, known or I took it for granted. I took him for granted." And I said, well, what do you mean? I mean, his movies are still around even though he's dead. It's not like they go away. You only knew him through the context of his movies and comedy. They're still on Netflix. They're still selling the DVDs and Blu-ray. You don't have to. It's not as though his career goes away because he's dead. You only knew him because of his film and entertainment career. His entertainment career still stands. And furthermore, the people say, again, I took him for granted. And you say that a lot, or people say that a lot. Philip Seymour Hoffman died early. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I took his acting chops for granted." And I think that's an interesting phrase, because when you say you take something for granted, to me at least, means you don't stop and smell the roses. You don't appreciate, you don't take the time to fully appreciate or fully indulge yourself in something before it goes away. So a lot of people take high school for granted, meaning they don't fully appreciate or understand what it is relative to what comes after it, right? Either the cold reality of life or the pseudo-cold or the lukewarm reality of college life. And they take it for granted. They say, "Oh shit, I took high school for granted. I had no idea what the hell would lie beyond this. Oh my goodness, this is crazy." And to say that about somebody, a celebrity especially, who died prematurely, I think, well, wait a minute. What would you have done differently? What, 5 years ago that Robin Williams today or yesterday would be found dead. You know that. There's nothing you can do about it. Just like there's nothing you can do, well, for the most part, there's nothing you can do about graduating high school. It's just going to happen unless you really try to fuck it up. So it's going to happen. What would you do differently? Especially with the case of Robin Williams, what are you going to do differently? Oh, I'd watch his movies more and appreciate them. They're still around. I mean, it's not like they go away. So to say, "Oh, well, I would have appreciated it more," or "I took him for granted," is to think that in any way Robin Williams was sitting by the phone thinking, oh man, did this person enjoy this movie? I really fucking hope they enjoyed Mrs. Doubtfire for the 35th time on TBS. I really hope that they enjoyed it. Robin Williams made movies and was in the entertainment business to make people laugh, but at the same time, your appreciation of it would never, it's not really going anywhere. I mean, to say I took it for granted or I took him for granted, I took his career for granted, seems rather selfish rather than appreciative. It seems more about making you feel good, or at least not making you feel bad, than communicating some despair that Robin Williams didn't get to learn about your love of his movies or his comedy specials. And it's more about making you feel you coping with Robin Williams' death, again, a person you've never met, than it is actually feeling bad that Robin Williams is dead. It seems a little bit selfish to me. But, and on the other hand, or another facet of the story is that it's really weird because Robin Williams, again, like I said at the top of the show, suffered for depression for a large portion of his career, especially, couple that with alcohol abuse, and you've got a dangerous mix, my friend. And it's different from his death, is different from, again, Philip Seymour Hoffman or Heath Ledger. This wasn't Robin Williams playing, doing the drug equivalent or the recreational drug equivalent of playing running across a crowded highway, playing like human Frogger. Not like, oh, I really like to get myself rip-roaring high, and I just really hope I don't die. Ah, shit, I lost the bet. Right? Philip Seymour Hoffman loved him some heroin. Loved it. Heroin was great. But Philip Seymour Hoffman should have known, holy shit, if I take too much heroin, my heart's going to stop. Heath Ledger mixing pills and mixing all kinds of barbiturates with a little bit of booze. And it's like, well, you fucked around because you like to get high and you killed yourself. You didn't mean to kill yourself. You were just being an idiot getting high, and now you're dead. Not much sympathy there. You knew going in, like, holy shit, mixing barbiturates with alcohol or shooting up this amount of heroin will probably stop my heart. And you did it anyway because you like to get high and you figured, fuck it, I'm rich and whatever, nothing will ever happen to me. Well, you lose out and now you're dead. Robin Williams' death now it's more visceral than, again, the accidental overdose of somebody creative who liked to get high and be creative. Because Robin Williams made an active choice to end his life. Philip Seymour Hoffman and Heath Ledger and Janet Jackson, or whoever, I think it was Janet Jackson, wasn't it? They were just fucking around. It's not like, I want to end it. I'm so depressed, I want to kill myself. They were just, I'm going to get high and, damn it, lost that one. But Robin Williams was sitting in his house and made a conscious decision to end his life, which is, again, much more visceral than just screwing around with hardcore drugs and losing. And I think it's a good time to tell everybody that depression isn't something to screw around with. Depression is a very powerful thing, especially if your depression leads you to some kind of substance abuse, because then they work in tandem together and amplify one another. But as somebody who's gone through depression and dealt with it, I can tell you that it is a very powerful thing, because the very thing I talked about at the top of the show about Robin Williams and how powerful your brain is in being able to forge a relationship with somebody that you've never met. It's an entirely one-way relationship. Robin Williams probably did not know and probably did not care that you existed or that you didn't exist. But you're reacting as though he did, as though you were on that level of friendship, again, which is fine. Your brain's just a very powerful thing. Now, when you're depressed, that power, that ability of your brain can be turned against you. It can be turned against you in a myriad of ways. One being you feel bad, lethargic, don't do anything, it's not worth it, nothing's worth it, etc. And then it becomes, this should all end, this should all go away. The same power that allowed you to have a relationship with Robin Williams to the level that you are emotionally impacted by his untimely demise is the same one that turns against you and tries to get you with depression. And if it goes unchecked, your life will more than likely be negatively impacted. You can be a functional depression case, but you're running on borrowed time. More often than not, way more likely than not, you will crash and something will happen. It might not be death. It's not always death. It's the end game of depression is not always suicide, but it is an end game. And if you feel depressed, if you feel as though the walls are closing in, anxious, constantly agonizing about perceived shortcomings or pitfalls of life, it's a good idea to find somebody to talk to. There are many, I believe there are many hotlines that you can call and talk to somebody. I believe it's usually free. There are many, I believe, group therapy sessions if you don't have insurance. And if you do have insurance, use it. I can tell you, as somebody who has had depression and periodically battles back the fringes of depression, going to talk to somebody helps. There's a stigma surrounding going to see a shrink or a social worker or anybody, a psychologist. There's a stigma about it that's really unfair because, again, like I say a lot, the brain is a powerful thing. Our consciousness, our ability to reason is very powerful. And taking care of that and taking care of your mental faculties is sometimes just as important of taking care of your internal organs or taking care of your immune system. You know, you take antibiotics when you get an infection, or you do this or that when you have some kind of physiological ailment. Well, talk therapy, psychoanalysis, all the things that you do with a psychiatrist or social worker, even the pills. All those things are or can be just as important. And there's no shame, absolutely no shame in going to see somebody or seeking out somebody to talk to about your feelings. There's absolutely no shame in it because, there comes a day when we all realize what's eventually going to happen. And some of us we all deal with it in slightly different ways, but there are a few different classes. One is to pretend that it isn't going to end, out of sight, out of mind. The other is to embrace it and try to live life, but one kind of seeps into the other there, because then the people that are living life still try to pretend that it's not going to happen. The other is running into the arms of religion, to pretending that it's never going to end, which is one of the reasons why religion is so popular, at least was so popular in society. And the overreaching thing that interweaves all of that is crushing anxiety, which can lead to depression and some very nasty thoughts, some very scary thoughts. And I can tell you, every depression case, here, I'll say this, every depression case should be schooled on atheism and say, listen, you're depressed and you want to end it, you want it to all go away, nothing really matters. Here's the deal. This is the only one you got. This is it. And to end it early, that's it. It's off. It's just light switch off. and then light switch obliterated and never to be turned on again. That's all you got. You can't just blithely go around saying, "I want to kill myself." Do you know what it has been my experience that many people that say they want to kill themselves, they don't really know what it entails. They don't really fully comprehend the consequences of their action. They don't really take the time to understand it. So there's no shame in going, if you feel depressed, if you feel down, if you feel, again, anxious, constantly anxiety-ridden, go talk to somebody. There's no shame in it. None at all. And anybody that would give you shame about it, you ask, well, what the fuck? Why are you violating my HIPAA, bro? Don't violate my HIPAA, bro. And also tell them, fuck you. Fuck you. Because anybody that would honestly say, oh, you're a pussy or you're a this or that for seeking mental health, they probably have crushing insecurities, anxieties of their own, but they believe whatever, they're too much of a man, or that's not what men do, or that's not whatever. They've got some bullshit reason that they won't face it. You, being somebody who can take self-inventory and can actually think abstractly and look at yourself in the abstract and say, maybe I should talk to somebody about this. Maybe I should go sit down for 30 minutes a week, an hour a week maybe, or an hour every 2 weeks, whatever, and find somebody to talk to about these things and just kind of get my ducks in a row as far as my brain goes. Maybe I should, that sounds like a pretty good idea. As far as my consciousness, as far as my, abstract self goes, maybe that's a good idea. You being the person to think that, way more evolved, and probably should be put at the head of the line to reproduce, at least way ahead of the person who says, oh, that's for pussies. I'm just going to deal with it myself. That's all I got to do. No, there's nothing at all wrong with going to talk to somebody and seeking help. And speaking of seeking help, I saw this yesterday, and this was part of the cavalcade of news, sad news yesterday. MMA fighter War Machine, guy actually changed his name to War Machine, who's apparently just kind of meh in the UFC, is on the run from Vegas police after his porn star ex-girlfriend, Christy Mack, alleged that he absolutely kicked the ever-loving shit out of her. Broken 19 bones in her face, missing teeth. Awful. Tremendous bruising, broken ribs, I believe lacerations on her liver from a kick to the sternum. It was posting pictures of her injuries. You would think this woman was in a severe car accident or something, some kind of traumatic experience. And she alleges that this UFC fighter, crazy guy, who has a documented history of just being a lunatic, she alleges he beat the shit out of her. And I just want to say to all the people out there, because I talked about this on my Twitter feed, and somebody responded, you left out the part where she cheated on him. And I responded, I was like, yeah, because that matters. And somebody actually came in to defend this guy, or at least what he said off the cuff, and said, wasn't saying it was okay, just laying it out as fact. And I thought, wait a minute. That's in any way relevant? In any way relevant, this is okay, because the only reason in my mind, and maybe I'm crazy, the only reason to bring up the alleged fact or fact, because War Machine said it. And if we're going to take what Christy Mack says as fact, then it's fair that we take some of the non-conflicting accounts by War Machine. And I can't believe I'm actually calling this guy fucking War Machine because he's a fucking crazy person. It's like I'm not calling Ron Artest Meta World Peace. I mean, I will acknowledge that he wants to be called Meta World Peace or whatever he wants to be called now, but you're still fucking Ron Artest, you psychopath. All right? Go talk to somebody. That's Ron Artest, probably the guy that's like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm just going to change my name and it'll all be better. This guy, I'm just going to change my name because I'm a fucking weirdo. The only reason it would be relevant to bring up the fact that she, a porn star, was supposedly cheating on this guy, War Machine, would be to excuse or in some way mitigate what happened. I mean, that's the only thing. Like, is there a way that she could cheat on War Machine such that War Machine had to defend himself from the cock in her vagina? Like, oh my God, I gotta defend myself from this cock in my ex-girlfriend's vagina. And it's, what? A lot of people showing their ass when they talk about this because, and the other thing, I haven't heard what Dana White has to say about this. However, you need to get these fucking mongoloids under control, right? It's great to watch UFC and, oh yeah, alpha male, alpha brain, yeah, woo, yeah, let's punch the shit out of people. MMA should be taught in high school because that's what we need is junior high because we need junior high kids trying to break each other's fucking arms. Morons. But this is all great. Everybody's really into MMA. Yeah. Oh my God, fucking awesome. This is what happens. This is what these guys fucking do. This, beating the shit out of people. Sometimes ex-girlfriends, other times just random people. You're getting hulked up, roided up, or human growth hormoned up, or whatever the new concoction is, whatever the new, quote, gear is. You're getting these people all worked up, and it's even worse than the NFL. I've talked before about the NFL and how you look and you give an NFL player, you make it their job to be big, mean, fast, angry, violent people, and you say, this is your job. Be mean, fast, angry, and violent, but only here. No, only between these two things. And then, by the way, here's millions of dollars. Go be whatever it is you want to do. And beer and, painkillers so you don't feel anything. Go have fun. Go have fun. Yay, crazy. You're not going to do anything stupid. And then you get Ray Rice knocking his girlfriend unconscious with a Ryu-style uppercut, and you go, oh, what the fuck? Where did that come from? Oh, my God. The NFL throws up their hands. We don't know where this ever came from. The UFC should have known. Why would this guy have had a platform? Why was this guy allowed? Why was he carded? Why was he licensed to fight in anywhere in the fucking world? Because this is not the first time that he's beaten the shit out of a girlfriend. Not the first time. It's not the first time that he's done something violent, either to himself, where he punched himself in the face because 4chan was trolling him, or somebody else. And what the fuck? Why is he still in the UFC? Why would Dana White and the governing bodies, the powers that be at the UFC, because, oh, it's great. But this guy fucking hurts people. Not in the ring. He's a fucking crazy person. Look, all right, you've gotten two of the central tenets of fucking crazy person, okay? One, violent. Prone to violence. Not in proper context either. Not contextual violence. Just all-out violence. And also changed his fucking name to War Machine. Okay? When you take those two together, should be out of the fucking UFC. No more platform. No more money. Go work at Best Buy. And no more celebrity. No more prestige. No more spots on the Joe Rogan Experience. None of that shit. You're done. But, oh, it's a UFC. Oh, we're amazing MMA. MMA is the greatest thing. All right. So now you give a spot to guys like War Machine. Now you create this market for him, and now he does this. There you go. This is a byproduct. I hope everybody that's really into UFC right now, I hope you're happy with it, because this is going to continue to happen. The NFL has been dealing with it for decades. Big, angry, fast people being given steroids and the whatnot, turned loose on society. Now, with the dominance of the UFC. It's one of the fastest growing spectator sports and broadcast sports in America. All right, get ready. Here you go. War Machine isn't the first, and he certainly ain't going to be the fucking last. He's just the loudest right now. I hope you're ready for it. And when you say, oh my God, why are people decrying the UFC? Because they're just letting these roided up fucking professional fighters loose on the rest of society and they're fucking killing people now. When the UFC has their version of Ray Rice, and all the UFC fans are, wait a second, why are people attacking the UFC? Well, I'll remember this. I'll remember, you giving the platform to War Machine and the like. We'll remember that. We will remember that. But at least I will. And on another note, and I've caught myself doing it here too. Having to qualify Christy Mack as a porn star, right? I've caught myself doing it, and again, I only caught myself after the fact, and I didn't stop it. But saying, War Machine's porn star girlfriend or porn star Christy Mack. And I've seen a lot in the reporting and people talking about it. And again, even myself right now. And I just, why is there this weird stigma, it seems, surrounding porn stars? Why does it matter that Christy Mack is a porn star? Because it's like a title. It's not just a descriptor, because you could say Christy Mack, who is a porn star or an adult movie star, blah, 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 blah. War Machine beat the shit out of his girlfriend, Christy Mack, or his ex-girlfriend, Christy Mack, who also happens to be a porn star. No, it's right up front. Porn star Christy Mack. And it's used so much that it's not a descriptor anymore. It's a title. And it's used so often, that title is, that I can only think that people are trying to communicate something by using this title all the time. Because it's not like President Obama. It's not like an official title or Dr. this. It's not that. It's a profession, but it's a unseemly profession in the minds of many. And it seems to me that in some outlets, and the way that some people are talking about it, that there is some kind of, not conscious, not to say that people are saying, she's a porn star, she deserves to have the shit kicked out of her. Let's go. UFC. I'm going to jerk off to it. Brock Lesnar. I know UFC people hate Brock Lesnar, but I have to ask, and maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but doesn't it seem as though the use of porn star before Christy Mack's name has taken a divisive tone, as though, or at least a marginalizing tone, like the use of the term porn star, because you can't mention Christy Mack without mentioning porn star. And when you do that, it seems to me that you're saying, well, it's just a porn star. Christy Mack, who is a porn star, or it'd be the same thing if she was a drug dealer. Christy Mack, who is a drug dealer, or who is a convicted felon, or who is a convicted pedophile, or who is a registered sex offender. It's like that. Whenever a registered sex offender has something not having to do with sex offending done to them, they say, well, blah, 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 who is a registered sex offender. It's like an addendum, like, here's this person who you really shouldn't give a shit about because of this. And I'm like, why do we still care that people are porn stars? We know people are porn stars. It's not a surprise. Many of us watch porn. We know there are porn stars. We know they exist. We know they are humans just like us, unless you're into some weird shit. They're human. They're men and women in the between, or kind of both, just like us. And it may be hard to comprehend, but when that camera's off, they don't live perpetually with a dick in there anywhere. I mean, well, the guys live with it because it's there, but it's not like going into something, in and out of something, or they don't have something going in and out of them constantly. The work is done, the movie is made, the producers or the directors go into the edit bay, and then, I don't know how much editing is done in porn, to be perfectly honest, probably not much, and then they go home. And they have lives outside of being porn stars. The stigma surrounding being a porn star is just, what? Yeah, porn star. She or he takes it or gives it for money on camera. So they're actresses, okay? So they're not prostitutes. But so what? The only reason you should care, the only context in which you should care whether somebody is a porn star is whether you're going to be in a relationship with them, a romantic relationship or a sexual relationship. That's the only reason. Other than that, they go to the store just like everybody else. They take shits just like everybody else, and they can get beaten the fuck out of by some crazy UFC guy who should have been in fucking jail probably 10 years ago, but because everybody's like, oh my God, fucking alpha male shit. Now this guy's a millionaire and he's just beating the shit out of people and probably going to get probation or something like that. And then Dana White's going to be like, oh, well, he's still in the UFC. Yeah, because, alpha male shit. They're just porn stars. The only reason you should care is if you're going to be in a relationship. And if you don't care, then you don't care. And if you do care, well, that's up to you. I don't want to date a porn star because, well, it's just weird. It would be too weird, and I wouldn't like the constant worry about catching something because they have to go through they have to be tested constantly, and even then, the tests, I don't know. You could be HIV positive but still test negative for months. So I don't fucking know. Who fucking knows anymore, right? It's like the tests don't even help. I just don't want to do it, and also seeing other dudes constantly putting their dick in that. I can't do it. Okay, but that's it. It's not like, oh, I'm not serving you because you're a porn star. Like, what the fuck? No. Oh, well, yeah, she got the shit kicked out of her by a crazy person, but she was a porn star. So the fuck what? There's a guy in the YouTube community, X-Jaws, who dated a porn star for a while and got a lot of shit for it. It's just, who fucking cares? Why would you ever care who is or is not sticking their dick in a porn star? Or whatever, the other way around for dudes. What? Ugh. It's just drop the stigma surrounding porn stars. It's pathetic to this point. It's pathetic. Because when they're mentioned in the news or when something non-porn related happens to them, it's the addendum, it's the suffix, just like convicted drug dealer, registered sex offender, domestic abuser, porn star. It's stupid. They're people just like you and me. Let's do some news. We got a lot of stuff in the news today that we want to talk about. The police are charging the mother who recorded her son as he set himself on fire. Detroit looting gets to the point where it is helping cause severe flooding. California may waive environmental rules for the Tesla battery factory. We're going to talk about Mike Brown, and we're going to hate on some police. So if you don't like that, well, I'm sorry, but this is a tremendously sad story, and we need to hate on some police. It's the news of Lefty. Let's talk sad first. This is I read about this story. I read about this story first because of the riots and looting in Missouri. Ferguson, Missouri, a small, poor suburb of St. Louis. And originally, I was just, okay, riots because of some idiot cop being an idiot. Well, then I read this from MSNBC. The last moments of Michael Brown's life were filled with shock, fear, and terror, says a witness who stood just feet away as a police officer shot and killed the unarmed teen. I saw the barrel of the gun pointed at my Fred, said Dorian Johnson, 22. Then I saw the fire come out of the barrel. Johnson, in an exclusive interview with NBC, said what began as an order by a police officer to, quote, get the fuck onto the sidewalk, quickly escalated into a physical altercation and then gunfire. This is later in the story, but this is the meat and potatoes of what happened. The officer demanded that the two get the fuck on the sidewalk, Johnson says. His exact words were to get the fuck on the sidewalk. After telling the officer that they were almost at their destination, Johnson's house, the two continued walking. But as they did, Johnson says the officer slammed his brakes and threw his truck in reverse, nearly hitting them. Now, in line with the officer's driver's side door, they could see the officer's face. They heard him say something to the effect of, "What'd you say?" At the same time, Johnson says the officer attempted to thrust his door open, but the door slammed into Brown and bounced closed. Johnson said the officer with his left hand grabbed Brown by the neck. "I could see the muscles in his forearm," Johnson said. "Mike was trying to get away from being choked. They're not wrestling so much as his arm went from his throat to now clenched on his shirt," Johnson explained of the scene between Brown and the officer. "It's like tug of war. He's trying to pull him in. He's pulling away. That's when I heard, 'I'm going to shoot you.'" At that moment, Johnson says he fixed his gaze on the officer to see if he was pulling a stun gun or a real gun. That's when he saw the muzzle of the officer's gun. "I saw the barrel of the gun pointed at my friend," he said. "He had it pointed at him, and he said, 'I'll shoot one more time.'" A second later, Johnson said he heard the first shot go off. "I seen the fire come out of the barrel," he said. "I could see so vividly what was going on because I was so close." Johnson said he was within arm's reach of both Brown and the officer. He looked over at Brown and saw blood pooling through his shirt on the right side of his body. "The whole time, the officer was holding my friend until the gun went off," Johnson noted. Brown and Johnson took off running together. There were 3 cars lined up along the side of the street. Johnson says he ducked behind the first car, whose 2 passengers were screaming. Crouching down a bit, he watched Brown run past. "Keep running, bro," he said. Brown yelled. Then Brown yelled it a second time. Those would be the last words Johnson's friend, Big Mike, would ever say to him. Brown made it past the 3rd car. Then the officer took his second shot, striking Brown in the back. At that point, Johnson says Brown stopped, turned with his hands up, and said, "I don't have a gun. Stop shooting." By that point, Johnson says the officer and Brown were face to face. The officer then fired several more shots. Johnson described watching Brown go from standing with his hands up to crumbling to the ground and curling into a fetal position. "After seeing my friend get gunned down, my body just ran. He ran to his apartment nearby. Out of breath, shocked and afraid, Johnson says he went into the bathroom and vomited. Then he checked to make sure that he hadn't also been shot. 5 minutes later, Johnson emerged from his apartment to see his friend Mike dead in the middle of the street. Neighbors were gathering, some shouting, some taking pictures with their cell phones." Freeman Bosley, Johnson's attorney, told MSNBC that the police have yet to interview Johnson. Bosley said that he offered the police an opportunity to speak with Johnson, but they declined. And of course, the St. Louis or the sheriff's office is not releasing the officer's name, and the officer is on paid administrative leave. This is just an awful story, and seeing that now, I understand the protests, and there have been clashing of protesters and police in Ferguson, Missouri, and if there was ever a time to just, a nod and a raise of the glass to dead police officers, this would probably be it. This would probably, I'm not going to forgive rioting and looting, and we'll talk to that in looting specifically. Rioting, however, against police officers, if there's ever a time to go, yeah, fuck it, go get them, this is the time. Cold-blooded fucking murder. What you say, boy? Get on the sidewalk, boy. There's no doubt this fucking jag-off pig is white. Get on the sidewalk, boy. And then after a brief altercation, let's even assume, okay? Here, I love playing this game because the defenders of the police officer's actions are going to say, he reached for his gun, and once you do that, it's game over. Okay, he reached for his gun. Let's say Brown even got his fucking hands on it, got his hand on it in the holster. And then the altercation stopped. The officer pushed him away, and he was able to grab the gun. We know Brown didn't have the gun because the officer fucking shot him with it, okay? This is not like a quantum gun, a quantum particle gun. It didn't just phase out of existence in Brown's hands and appear in the officer's. No. Let's say in the altercation, Brown reached for the gun. The officer stopped him, even got his hand on the pistol in the holster. The officer pushed him away and then drew his weapon. Okay? Now where are we? Look, there doesn't need to be video, anything. We know the cop ended up with the gun before shots were fired. Before any shots were fired, we know the cop ended up with the gun and was able to put his hand on it and point it at the assailant. That's it. Shouldn't that be it? Shouldn't that be it? Shouldn't that end there? Shouldn't that say, put your hands up, I'm going to fucking arrest you, and that's it? Because you tussle with an officer, you reach for his gun, and you can't do that. Okay, all right, again, and now I know some people are going to say, well, that didn't happen. No. We're playing the game where we assume every bad thing happened. Every bad thing, every negative Michael Brown thing happened, okay? All right, so he reached for his gun. All right, fine. I'll stipulate. But we know the officer ended up with it in his hands, right? Right. Okay, and we know he ended up with it pointed at Michael Brown, right? Right. Michael Brown, was he armed? Well, I don't think so. Okay, so we have, after a brief physical altercation in which we stipulate to Michael Brown reaching for the gun, even getting his hand on it in the holster. But somehow the officer was able to free Brown's hand from the weapon and then get his own hand on it, draw it, and point it at Brown. Okay, that's where we are now. Freeze. Freeze frame. Love that song. So now there we are. That should be the fucking end. Why were shots fired? What is this? No. And even if, Brown wouldn't stop. Okay. No reason to fucking shoot somebody. I'm going to arrest you. Well, I'm going to run away. Okay, well, I'm going to chase you. Why the fuck are you shooting somebody? Here's my point, even if you stipulate to all the supposed things that happen, all the things that are going to be in dispute for years now, or months, everybody's going to be debating this. Did he reach for the gun? Did he not? Assume he did. You know the officer got his hand back on the gun. That should have ended it. Because the worry of the officer is going to try to justify it, and the police are going to say, well, the officer feared for his life, because if the assailant got his hand on the gun, it's a whole different ballgame. Okay, but when your hand gets back on the fucking gun, that's it. The need to defend yourself via deadly force immediately goes away when you secure the firearm. When you secure it by putting it in your hand, drawing it, and pointing it at Michael Brown, that ends the fear of your life. Because now you've got the fucking gun, motherfucker. But how anybody... I can understand we need to follow procedure. But at some point, don't you just have to start shooting people? Don't you just have to shoot some fuckers? You just got to go around shooting motherfuckers. And that's why I will be okay with, I know some people might not be, but I will be okay with poor black people rioting in the streets in Ferguson, Missouri. And I will be okay with, maybe some Molotov cocktails finding their way into police ranks. I'm just saying, I don't know. But you should be pissed off if you're in Ferguson, Missouri, and you know that your police officers will murder in fucking cold blood an unarmed teenager. Even after you stipulate to everything, that's cold-blooded fucking murder. And for the body to lay there in the streets while police got their story straight and all this shit, oh no. No, the citizens of Ferguson, Missouri have a legitimate beef with their police department. And violence is acceptable. Rioting against police, acceptable. Stamp of approval. However, I will say this. However, poor people, predominantly black people of Ferguson, Missouri, that does not give you fucking license to break into some asshole's store and start stealing his shit. All right? You can riot against police. Violence against police. I will accept that. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. Right? I get that. That does not, the blood of patriots and tyrants does not mean the poor guy who just had the unfortunate luck of buying and running a convenience store near where you choose to riot against the police. Don't break it. I have no sympathy for you once you start breaking into other well-meaning people's stores and stealing their shit. I got nothing for you. Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. Stay in the streets, fight against the riot police, go into the alleys, whatever. You want to break some glass to take cover, fine. But when you start damaging criminal damage to property and you start looting and taking things that you know aren't yours, you're not fighting against the police anymore. You're just serving your own ends. You're just using the tragedy of the death of Michael Brown, and you're using the vehicle of an anti-police riot to break in and start stealing shit for yourself. And at that point, fuck you too. You get a bullet to the brain as well. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. You want to riot? Focus your violence towards people that actually deserve it. The sheriff's department, the police. Get them together. You want to riot, protest, whatever, fine against the police, totally fine, totally acceptable. You want to, they're bringing out the big guns now, rubber bullets and tear gas. All right, you want to escalate? Okay. Great. I can't wait to watch it on the TV. But I don't want to see you walking out with any flat screens. I don't want to see flat-paneled TVs in the hands of people walking out of a Best Buy or an electronics store. I don't want to see cases of booze being brought out of a liquor store. That's not yours, and that's not party to the reason why all of you are pissed off in the first place, rightfully so. I'll defend your violence against and your rioting against police, but I will not defend and I will not at all condone looting as a result, because then you're just trying to enrich yourselves. And at that point, you're in line on the guillotine too in the town square. The police officer that murdered Mike Brown, first up. You, number 2. You're second in line, buddy. If you're running around looting now because, hey, fuck the government, let's just steal shit. And if the store owner is sitting behind his counter with an AR-15 and you get a bullet between the eyes when you run in to try to steal his or her shit, I got no Jesse Jackson, no Al Sharpton, no NAACP file, this is no Castle Doctrine, no, oh my God, was he in reasonable fear of his life? No, you break in during a riot to somebody's store, even under the assumed pretense of stealing shit, you're getting a bullet to the head, buddy. That's it. That's just it. Nothing. I got nothing for you. You can, again, I will condone it all. Don't break in to steal people's shit. I will not defend you, and I will not feel sorry for you if you get shot by a shopkeeper. And I will fight against your family and your estate if you try to sue that guy, because you were the asshole that tried to enrich yourself under the guise of civic disobedience. Not civil disobedience, but civic disobedience and riots against an oppressive, murderous police force. In other news, this is from Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte Mecklenburg police have arrested a mom in connection to a Facebook video showing her son setting himself on fire. Police said Janie Talley facilitated the recording of the video. Videos of teens setting themselves on fire has become a viral challenge on Facebook called the Fire Challenge. Detectives watched the video that showed the victim pouring fingernail polish on his body and setting himself on fire. Talley, 41, was present and aware of what her son was doing and facilitated the recording, police said. Other people who were there helped put out the fire. The victim sustained minor burns to his chest and neck area. I hope he died. Talley was arrested Wednesday and charged with contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile. Facebook officials have recognized the danger in this activity and have removed similar videos from its site to avoid copycat videos. No, Facebook. No. Oh, no. Don't remove these videos. I don't want you to remove the fire challenge videos. Please don't. I want more people to see them, and I want more people to be exposed to them, and I want more people to try it. If somebody out there, if exposed to a fire challenge video, would want to try it themselves, I want that person exposed to it, and I want that person to try it themselves. I don't mean coerce, okay? I don't mean entrap. I don't mean they wouldn't otherwise do it, but you say, hey, come on, do it. Yeah, here you go. Set yourself on fire. No, but if people are idiot enough, oh my God, the idiots, what the God damn it. This has got to be a 4chan troll, right? I mean, come on. This smacks of a 4chan troll. 4chan convinced, I believe when the iPhone 5 came out, somebody really good with Photoshop pretended to put out an Apple press release that said there's some new feature on the iPhone 5 or 5S maybe that it can sense if it's falling into water and it will immediately turn off core components so that you can drop it into water and it'll be fine. And then dumbasses actually fucking did it. This has got to be that just on next level, where somebody with like visual effects or something was able to produce a video that looked like them setting themselves on fire with alcohol or something like that. And then it went viral and now other idiots are trying it. But I want people to try it because you can't be that fucking stupid and still live in society. I don't want you in society. Get your fucking ass out of the gene pool if you're going to be stupid enough to try to light yourself on fucking fire for a fire challenge, okay? I remember doing you do the little trick. You get the lighter and you make a closed fist, but you leave a little space open, like a, slightly unpuckered butthole, and you put release some of the butane from your standard Bic lighter into it, and then you light the lighter and put it in your hand. Oh my God, you got a fistful of fire, and it looks just like, okay. But you're actually pouring fuel on yourself and lighting yourself on fire for the purpose of videotaping and being like, look at me and on fire. No, you deserve the 3rd-degree burns. I hope you're wearing something flammable. Maybe you live in a flammable house and maybe there's a gas main exposed or something like that, and your hair will catch on fire and you'll start running around crazy trying to find to put it out, and you'll stumble up across the gas main, and then bam, your entire subsect of the gene pool is just removed completely. I mean, you can't be that fucking stupid. How are you that dumb? How are you that dumb to try this? Just like I hope that the people that tried whatever it was, the punch game, where you trying to run up and one punch somebody, or the knockout game. Just like I hope that they tried that on the wrong person. They had like a 45 and they just blew their brains out. Similarly, you're trying the fire challenge. I look forward to seeing your charred body being brought out of your burned home or your burned apartment, your burned down apartment or hovel or wherever the fuck you live. We don't need you. We don't need you moving forward. You have your last hurrah of the fire challenge. We will go on just not being fucking morons. Just no. My God, the fire challenge. I can't believe that's a thing. In car news, this is from the LA Times. The headline being, California may waive environmental rules for Tesla battery factory. The state would exempt Tesla Motors Incorporated from some of its toughest environmental regulations as part of an incentive package being discussed with the automaker to build a massive battery factory in California, a key state senator said. It would help them speed the process, Senator Ted Gaines said after a Friday meeting with Tesla officials at the company's Palo Alto headquarters and assembly line in Fremont, east of San Francisco. The plan being negotiated in the office of Governor Jerry Brown would grant the automaker waivers for significant portions of the nearly half-century-old California Environmental Quality Act, Gaines said. The proposal is alarming some environmentalists. The governor's pitch also includes a number of tax breaks for Tesla that could be worth as much as $500 million, or about 10% of the project's total cost, said Gaines, a Republican representing the Sacramento suburb of Rockland in Rockridge. He said the Senate President He said Senate President Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg, a Democrat from Sacramento, are the co-authors of a proposed Tesla incentive bill that would put the package of incentives into law. The Brown administration is hustling to compete with 4 other states, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, for what Tesla chief executive Elon Musk calls his gigafactory. Giggity. Musk has described California as a long shot for snagging the proposed plan. Now, I thought that one of the greatest things about electric cars was how green they are. Little environmental impact, right? They're not burning fossil fuels. They burn electricity. Now, where does that electricity come from? Well, they just burn electricity. They're not burning carbon footprint. We don't want to talk about where the electricity came from. Okay, all right. The car itself, though, is really green. The electricity, maybe not, but the car, really, okay, all right. It would seem to me, I'm not an environmentalist, I'm not an environmental engineer, I'm not an eco anything, I'm just a guy. It would seem to me that if to produce the batteries for your, quote, green car, your electric car, if to produce those batteries, you needed to waive the most strict environmental regulations a state can muster, a sovereign state. All right? This is not some municipality saying, "Oh, you can't have, noise pollution or light pollution from tall signs or anything like that because we want to preserve our cozy little atmosphere here. No, this is the sovereign state of California saying, look, businesses, to protect ourselves and the environment, you can't do this because it's really fucking bad for us. Okay? That's my understanding of why regulations like that exist. Now, it would appear to me that if in order to create the batteries for your green car, you needed to waive those really strict environmental regulations, maybe the car isn't very green. I don't know. I'm just a guy. Those environmental restrictions are there for a reason. And if you need those things, or even if you need those things in order to produce your battery and not be the battery for your car and not be in violation of state environmental protection laws, maybe your car isn't very green. And similarly, for the lawmakers, then what the fuck are the point of the environmental protections? Whatever it is, right? You can't pour fucking liquid uranium into the groundwater, right? That's one of the restrictions they waive. Because, oh my God, we need the business. But what the fuck are what are the regulations for? If you're just going to waive them anyway, what the fucking point is the point of saying, oh, you can't do this unless you're Elon Musk in his green car? Because the car is so green that you don't need to worry about it harming the environment, so you waive environmental restrictions? What? It doesn't... All I'm saying is, perhaps, I want it on the table that perhaps electric cars are not the answer to, one, our energy woes, or two, our environmental crisis, or our pending environmental crisis, or ongoing environmental crisis, whatever you want to call it. I just want it on the table that maybe if Elon Musk, for his gigafactory, what the fuck was that? Something just happened. I have no idea what just made that noise. I don't like that noise. What in the hell? Anyway, if Elon Musk, I'm just going to start closing out stuff because I don't know what did it. If Elon Musk, for his gigafactory, needs you to waive shit, needs you to waive environmental protections, if you need that to create the battery for your car, I got to question what the actual total environmental impact of your car is. Not just, oh, well, when it's not burning carbon fuel or carbon-based fuel, it's not burning carbon-based fuel. Oh my God, look at that. Look at how green it is. I say, well, wait a minute. No. Now the carbon footprint of your green car now is expanded to include the fucking battery because you need all this shit repealed or not applied to you so that you can make it. What are you doing exactly? What exactly are you doing to the environment that you need it removed, that you need it not applied? Maybe you're just not that green. Maybe Tesla's, cool car though they may be, and electric cars in general, maybe they aren't the answer. Maybe, yeah, it does matter that where that power comes from. Maybe it does matter the efficiency of the electrical grid and how much power you have to actually create at the plant to get the amount of power that you get at the wall to charge your cutesy-futesy little car. Maybe, yeah, it does matter what we would have to do to make every car in the world electric, what that would do, what's in the battery, what does it cost to make the battery, in terms of environmental impact, what is the environmental cost of making the battery, what would be the environmental cost of making that amount of batteries, however many cars there are, shit, in America, 40%, what would be the environmental impact of replacing every single car, or 40% of America's vehicles, with an electric car with that kind of battery? What would be the environmental cost? It's probably really fucking high. Oh, but it's electric, so it's, oh my goodness, we are saving the environment. It's bullshit. Let's bring it home. Another great episode of The Lefty Show. I thank you all for joining me. I had a great time putting on this show for you. I hope you had a great time listening. Thank you to everybody for watching on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can find the show in its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody that has been sharing the show, helping the show grow by sharing it with friends, family, and coworkers. Whether you're on Android or iTunes, in the iTunes store, search The Lefty Show. Wherever you get your podcast, you'll be sure to find us there. That's The Lefty Show. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. And you can follow me on Twitter at Lefty643. Stay up to date on all the latest and greatest Lefty Show news and my musings. That's Twitter.com/Lefty643. Anyway, guys, that's my time. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you next time. I'm out. Bye.
Pay that man his money!